You know how sometimes you just see a picture, maybe online or something, and it just clicks and makes you think, wow, I need to go there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for a lot of people, that place seems to be the Dolomites,
Yeah.
this incredible mountain range up in the northern Italian Alps.
Oh, absolutely. They're stunning. A UNESCO World Heritage Site, and honestly, photos. They just don't do it justice.
No, they really don't. I mean, the scale of it.
Exactly. Picture this. You've got these massive, towering peaks. I think something like, 18 of them over 3,000 meters. So that's nearly 10,000 feet.
Wow.
Yeah, and they have these incredibly sheer vertical rock faces that just plunge down into these deep, long valleys. It's a landscape that's just, it's been shaped over millions of years.
Yeah, sculpted is definitely the word. And it's not just, pretty scenery, although it is spectacular. There's some really fascinating geology there, too.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about these Mesozoic carbonate platforms, which basically means these huge layers of rock, like limestone, formed ages ago when the area was under a warm sea.
Right, tropical seas, millions and millions of years back. And that rock is packed with fossils, telling the story of ancient life.
Amazing. And it's still changing, right? It's a dynamic place. Landslides, floods, avalanches.
Yeah.
They're still part of the picture.
That's a really important point. The fact they started as these marine carbonate platforms, that's why they have that distinctive pale color, and
Yeah, right.
why they've eroded into these really unique, almost sculptural shapes.
Yeah, those pale mountains.
And yeah, the ongoing processes, they just remind you these aren't static museum pieces, they're living mountains.
Okay, so you see the pictures. Maybe you're hooked by the geology, the sheer drama of it all. But the big question, especially for a first trip, is if you only have, say, 2 days.
Right, how do you even start?
Exactly. How do you make the absolute most of it without feeling totally rushed or overwhelmed? So that's what we want to dig into today, a kind of a possible plan, a 2-day itinerary to give you a really fantastic first taste of the Dolomites.
Sounds like a good plan. And it's worth saying up front, while the Dolomites themselves feel, wild and maybe a bit remote, getting to the general area is actually surprisingly doable. Italy's transport network is pretty good.
Okay, all right. Good point. So let's dive into day one then. Arrival. Where do we start?
Well, most people will probably be coming from a bigger city, maybe flying in.
Sure, Venice, Milan, somewhere like that.
Exactly. And from there, the train is often a really good bet for getting closer to the Dolomites region itself. Italian trains are, generally speaking, efficient, comfortable.
Yeah, I've heard that. It's quite a relaxing way to see the country change as you head north.
It really is. And a city like, say, Bolzano, that's
Yeah.
often mentioned as a good gateway.
Bolzano. Right, because of its location.
Yeah, it's right there, sort of nestled at the foot of the mountains, and it has decent train connections and other transport links. Makes a good starting point.
Okay, so the train gets you close. But then, once you're in the region, is that where a car comes in handy? I think I read that having your own wheels is kind of key.
Yeah, that seems to be the consensus for really exploring within the Dolomites, especially on a tight schedule like 2 days. Public transport exists, of course, but a car just gives you that freedom.
Freedom to stop wherever you see an amazing view.
Precisely. To nip down different valleys, pull over at those viewpoints, access trailheads. It just unlocks the place in a way that buses maybe can't, especially time-wise.
Right. Okay, so day one, let's imagine you've arrived, maybe taken the train to Bolzano or somewhere nearby, picked up a rental car. Now it's afternoon. What's the goal?
The goal for that first afternoon, I think, should be immersion. Get a real feel for the Western Dolomites, soak in those iconic views.
So a scenic drive.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Maybe part of the Great Dolomites Road, if time allows, or just focusing on some key passes known for their beauty. We're talking winding mountain roads.
The kind you see in car commercials.
Maybe. But seriously, roads that climb and curve and, every turn reveals something new. The western side is famous for those kale peaks we mentioned, the unique rock formations.
That specific Dolomite look, yeah, resulting from that geology.
Exactly. It's visually very distinct.
And the beauty is you don't have to be like a hardcore mountaineer to see this stuff.
Not at all. There are plenty of viewpoints right off the road, easily accessible by car. You just pull over, get out, and wow.
Just let the landscape hit you. That first proper, unobstructed view of those massive peaks must be something else.
It really is. That initial impact, the scale, the colors, the shapes, it tends to stick with you. A real aha moment.
Okay, so you spent the afternoon driving, gasping at views. What about the evening? Where do you stay?
Well, the ideal end to day one, I think, is finding accommodation in one of those lovely, charming Dolomite villages.
Yeah, like picture postcard villages.
Yeah,
Cobblestone streets, maybe some traditional alpine houses.
that kind of thing. Places with real character, a proper mountain atmosphere. It's a chance to slow down a bit after the travel and the driving.
Immerse yourself in the local vibe.
Exactly. And of course, it's Italy, so dinner.
Can't forget the food. Now, northern Italy. The food's maybe a bit different from, say, Tuscany or Rome.
It often is, yeah. You get more influences from Austria and Switzerland nearby, so think maybe heartier dishes.
Like polenta or speck, a
Out-
cured ham.
Precisely. Things like that are quite typical. Good cheeses, mushrooms, maybe some game meats depending on the season. Generally really good quality, locally sourced ingredients. It's always worth asking what the local specialty is.
Good tip. So, finding a nice trattoria in a village, trying some local food and wine, soaking up that atmosphere, that whole dolce vita feeling, but the mountain version.
Sounds pretty perfect, doesn't it? A great way to recharge and get ready for day two.
Yeah, sets you up nicely.
Hee
Okay, day 2. You've had the scenic intro, the village charm. Now what? Time to get a bit closer.
I think so. Day two is maybe about a more active engagement with the landscape, if you're up for it.
What's a hike?
Yeah, exactly. The Dolomites have this huge network of trails, really well marked generally, everything from, gentle valley walks to serious climbs.
So for a 2-day trip, maybe a shorter, manageable hike, something that gets you into the scenery.
That would be ideal. Even just a couple of hours on a well-chosen trail can give you a completely different perspective. You're in it, surrounded by the rock walls, hearing the silence or the cowbells.
Right. Of course, need to be sensible, check conditions, wear proper shoes, all that stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Mountain safety is always key, even on easier trails. Weather can change quickly.
But worth it for that feeling of being right amongst those giants.
Definitely. But what if hiking isn't really your thing, or maybe you're short on time or energy?
Good point. Is there another way to get those amazing high-up views?
Yes, absolutely. The Dolomites are brilliant for this. They have a fantastic network of cable cars, gondolas, chairlifts.
Scenic lifts.
Exactly. They can whisk you up to higher elevations, sometimes to viewpoints or mountain huts with zero effort.
That sounds pretty appealing. So you still get the jaw-dropping panoramas.
Oh, completely. Breathtaking views. It makes that incredible high alpine scenery accessible to pretty much everyone, regardless of fitness level. You still get that top-of-the-world feeling.
That's great. So hike or lift, either way, you're getting immersed in that exceptional natural beauty.
Precisely. You're experiencing the heart of the Unesco site.
Okay, so morning, early, afternoon, spent up close with the mountains. What about the later part of day 2?
Well, after the intensity of the landscape, maybe it's nice to reconnect with the cultural side again, perhaps visit another traditional village.
Explore a different valley, maybe? See how the villages compare.
Yeah, or just spend a bit more time in one. Wander the streets, maybe pop into a local church or a craft shop. These places have history. People have been traveling here, drawn by the mountains for centuries. You can kind of feel that.
Absorb the local atmosphere. Get a sense of the place beyond just the peaks.
Mm-hmm. Experience the human side of this landscape.
Okay, makes sense.
Mm.
And then, as day 2 starts winding down, thoughts turn to departure.
Yeah, you need to factor that in. Depending on your overall Italy itinerary, you'll be thinking about where you need to get to next.
Maybe heading back towards Venice, for example, if you flew in there.
Could be. Or connecting to another train line. Getting out of the Dolomites region and back to the main transport hubs is generally pretty manageable. You just need to plan the timings.
Right. And one last chance for some amazing food before you leave.
You absolutely have to. Again, even if we don't have a specific list of must-eat Dolomite dishes right here, remember where you are.
Italy. Hard to go wrong, food-wise.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Just embrace the regional variations, enjoy the quality. Ask the locals in that village restaurant what they recommend. They usually know best. Fresh, seasonal, delicious. That's the Italian way.
Okay, so that's a whirlwind tour. Day 1 arrival, Western Drive, village stay. Day 2, getting up close via hike or lift, more culture, and thinking about heading off. It feels doable, right? A good taster.
I think it's a fantastic introduction. You get the scale, the unique beauty, a bit of the culture, the food. It covers the key elements.
So wrapping this up, beyond the step-by-step, what's the big picture? The main thing someone should take away if they're thinking about this kind of trip?
I think the key takeaway is just how inspiring it is. You're talking about experiencing a landscape that is genuinely unique on a global scale. There's a reason it's UNESCO listed.
That combination of dramatic beauty and that deep geological story.
Exactly. It's a chance to, step away from the everyday, be surrounded by something truly vast and majestic. It creates memories that really stick.
Unforgettable moments. And it's not like it has to be this huge isolated expedition either. You mentioned the transport links.
Right. Italy's network makes it relatively easy to slot a 2-day Dolomites adventure into a wider trip. Combine the mountains with, say, Venice or Lake Garda or Verona.
Right.
It's all quite well connected.
So it's accessible grandeur in a way.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay, so if you're listening to this and you've seen those pictures, maybe felt that little spark, hopefully this gives you a sense of how you could actually make it happen, even with just a couple of days.
It's within reach.
So as we finish, maybe a final thought to leave people with. As you imagine standing there, surrounded by those incredible pale peaks reaching for the sky, what do you think will be the first view, the first moment that just completely takes your breath away?
Or maybe, think about the stories you'll bring back. Standing on a viewpoint, or finishing a walk, or just having coffee in a village square. What feeling, what memory will be the one you share first?